Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Harrisonburg. My name is Braden Hoover, president for this Rotary year. It is so good to see this room filled now. We're going to have to put in a few more tables for next week. So thank you all for being here. We have a wonderful program. We're going to get started a little earlier because we have a whole bunch of things to do prior to our program. So let's start with the four-way test. Please join me in the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today's song is by Les Helmuth singing My Country 'Tis of Thee. From the sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. There's some nice harmonies in there. Thank you very much. Now let's turn to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's invocation is by Ken Horst. Very much, Ken. I don't have somebody on the hospitality committee today, so if you have a guest that you would like to introduce to the greater club, please stand up and go ahead and do that. Okay, I don't see any besides our speaker, and she will get introduced later on. So thank you very much for that. Any family of Rotary announcements to share? I have not had an update on Bill's wife, Bill Kale's wife. So if anybody has something about Susan's hip surgery, please let us know. Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. I got a message from the district today detailing an opportunity for us to support our brothers and sisters in Ukraine through donations from the Rotary Foundation's Disaster Response Fund. They have a dollar-for-dollar match up to $25,000 thanks to generous support of District 7570 Rotarians, Jamie and Patty Baisden, owners of the Wind River Chimes, and a points match from Rotary District 7570. The dollar and points match is available to Rotary District 7570 now through the close of our district conference on Sunday, April 3rd. If you want to donate to this cause and get those point match, donations must be designated, to the Rotary Foundation's Disaster Response Fund, and donations must be at least $100 in order to receive the matching Rotary Foundation recognition points. I believe there's an email going out to all members to that effect. On the tails of that, again, just want to remind you that district conference is April 1 through 3 at the Hotel Roanoke this year. If you want to register, please let John or myself know. The club will reimburse you for your registration. As another reminder, the board decided last week that we are ending our mask mandates, but please, if you feel more comfortable, masks are optional for you. And please continue to record your service hours on the Google Sheet that is linked in our rotograph that Michael sends out every week. Thank you very much, Michael. I have two additional announcements that I've delegated to two others in our club. Dave Larson has an update on the Strawberry Festival. I want to invite him to the podium now. Thanks, Dave.
All right, great to see everybody here this morning. Weather is warmer, so now it's time to start thinking about strawberries. We are, looks like we're all systems go again this year for May 21st. And so the committee's been meeting a couple times over the last few weeks just to get everything all lined up. Lots going to be similar. We're going to have some bands. We're going to have a lot of kids activities. We're getting rid of the dunk booth. So I know a lot of you all are disappointed that you're not going to be able to be dunked, but we're replacing it with a climbing wall. So we're excited about that. John Sayer is heading up the committee. So any questions, make sure you direct those to John or myself or anyone else on the committee. And also, as far as the fundraising, Ken Horst and Steve Hoddle are heading that up. So be expecting a call from them sometime soon, and get your checkbooks ready. And again, May 21st, we're going to be looking for all hands on deck to see who can help out, and it's going to be a great day at City Hall. Great, thanks.
And Andy Van Hook has an update on the ethics program and Valley Fest.
Real quick, ethics program is going to be May 9th. Put that on your calendars. We are going to do that in person at festival this year. So be soon getting a sign up sheet for table hosts and all those fun things that we've always done at the ethics event, which is exciting to be back in person at that excellent event. Also, Valley Fest is planning is underway and going really well. It is the following weekend from Strawberry Festival. It is May 28th. Sponsorships is going really well. We've got the top 3 sponsors already secured and in place, so that's going well moving forward. So we'll also be having some opportunities to sign up to volunteer there as well. So looks like 2 years of not being able to volunteer and share time together. It's all going to converge in May of 2022. So just block off your calendars for Rotary service projects for the whole month, and we'll be good to go.
Thank you, Andy and Dave. Before I turn it over to Wayne and our speaker today, I am delighted to induct Noah Yoder into our membership. So I want to invite Noah and Shannon up here. Fellow Rotarians, it is my privilege and pleasure today to welcome into membership in our club Noah Yoder, whose name was proposed by Shannon Porter. We are pleased to welcome Noah as a new member of our club. Noah, you have been approved for membership in this club because we believe each you to be worthy representatives of your vocation, interested in the ideals of Rotary, and willing to actively participate in the service activities of the club. Rotary's official motto is service above self. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular, to encourage and foster the following things. First, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Third, the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. And fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. We will now induct you into membership in the Rotary Club of Harrisonburg, Virginia, and to the Fellowship of Rotary throughout the world. Shannon, please present this pin to Noah as I present our 4-way test plaque. Will the membership please rise? Noah, welcome to the Rotary Club of Harrisonburg. Fellow Rotarians, I'm happy to present to you our newest member. Please welcome them into our club with a round of applause. Before I invite Noah up here to give his thumbnail, I believe him to be the youngest member we've ever had in our club. I joined when I was 25, 7 years ago. Noah is 24. So you decrease our average age by a significant amount, Noah. You're welcome. Please come up here and give us your thumbnail.
Well, thank you so much. It really is an honor, you bringing a young guy like me into the folds of this organization. I appreciate it a lot. I'll just give a brief synopsis of kind of who I am, where I've been, and where I hope to be going. I got the email that I'd be inducted today a couple hours ago. And I was offered to do it another day, but I figured why delay, right? So I was sitting in my office and I was trying to think, what are the most important things to me throughout my life so far, and what are the two most important things that I want to hold on to moving forward? And I think that'd be perspective and relationships. I grew up mostly in Harrisonburg, and we did a lot of traveling when I was growing up. Spent some service time in Haiti, and it changes your perspective a lot when you see your closest friends taking sugar packets out of the trash, mixing it in the mud and eating it. That I was 8. And then I came back to the States, and at 12 and a half was when I had my first experience with talking a friend down from suicide over the phone. So I grew up pretty quick, and I gained a perspective on life that I think not a lot of people have, and I hold that very tightly. But at a very young age, I found out pretty quickly that I was very overwhelmed and not prepared enough to help people the way I wanted to help them. So I quickly started stacking on mentors and people who I respected, asking them for their advice. And moving forward in the chapter of life that I'm in right now, I'm really hoping that this group can be that to me. Your different perspectives, your different successes and failures. I want to know those, because I think that iron sharpens iron, as cheesy as it is. I also think that our society today has really shifted in a direction that I'm not too pleased with. This idea of cancel culture really irks me. I think we've lost the ability to encourage civil discourse, and that really bothers me. So I want you to know that for me as a person, I want you to disagree with me, and I want you to know that walking away from that table, I still respect you as a human being, because I think we've lost that. And I think a lot of people my age have lost that too. So I don't want to be grouped in that. But with that being said, I do think that a younger perspective is good too. So I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. And I'm really excited for being able to serve with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noah. And I want to invite Wayne Whitmer up to give an introduction of our speaker.
Good afternoon. Lisa Shaw is a person I've known for a long time, and I was just thinking about Noah being a young Rotarian. Brian has been in this club a long time. Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, Brian, because you're not that old, but I remember when I joined 15 years ago, you were one of the first tables I sat at, and you welcomed me, so I appreciate that. So I asked whether Brian should introduce Lisa, and she thought he might say too much. So I will just tell you that Lisa Shaw is the founding executive director of Explore More Discovery Museum, graduate of JMU, and holds a master's degree in early childhood education. Lisa taught in the public schools for 11 years and later served as a university supervisor in the JMU Early Childhood Department. She and her husband, Brian, spearheaded the efforts to start the Harrisonburg Children's Museum, now Explore More. In addition to her museum work, she serves as an elder and active member of the First Presbyterian Church, and currently serves on several nonprofit boards, including Harrisonburg Rockingham Chamber of Commerce and the Harrisonburg Kiwanis Club. Lisa and her husband have 2 grown children. Help me welcome Lisa Shaw.
Where can I be? Is this a good place? Like right here? Okay. I think I did. Do you hear me? Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much for having me here today. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, a lot of folks who have come alongside us in this whole journey over the last 20 years to start the Children's Museum. This is the first time I've been out to speak publicly in 2 years. I don't know that this is going to connect to this, but we'll see. Bear with me, please. Today, what I hope to do is to give everybody a little bit of an overview of the museum, where we've been. The last 2 years have certainly been challenging for us, like so many of you all I know. And then just a glimpse into what's going to happen down the road with the museum. So again, thank you so much for letting me be here. I'm just going to plow right in. We are a nonprofit, a 501c3 organization. We have 18 member board of directors leading us. This year, Neil Lewis, who some of you may know as a partner with Sustainable Solutions, he's our president this year leading us. We currently have 10 staff members. Fun fact that I was just thinking about the other day is of those 10 members, we have 4 with the tenure of 62 years collectively. That's pretty big in a nonprofit organization. And I think it says a lot about just the dedication to the children and our mission. And then of course our target age range is 1 to 12. We believe that children understand why things happen by making them happen. And it really is all about hands-on learning. And as Einstein said, play is the highest form of research. Just to give you a little history, the old guy over there, Rotary Brian, helped start this whole thing about 20 years ago. And when we dreamed of this, our kids were really little, and we've been taking them around to different children's museums, and we thought they were wonderful. I was an educator, knew we didn't have anything like this in our community and that we should. So we pulled together everybody we could possibly think of to come to the Massanutten Regional Library and sit at a table and talk about the feasibility of starting one of these. And needless to say, we did it. But that first summer, because we had no resources really, we decided we'd hopscotch around the community, and we put on all these makeshift museum exhibits that would be similar to what we would do in a permanent museum. And we had lots of support, lots of just people participating, kids all over the place. And that was really our launch. This is a picture of that first summer, the sheep to sweater, the first exhibit, and just something to share here. This little girl, she's now 28 years old, and that's my daughter. So, and she works at the museum, if you can believe that. She's our operations manager. So, you know, you never know when you'll be inspired early on, and keep going. Finally, after that first summer, we found a downtown location. Some of you might recognize that building right beside the TV station and across from the Rockingham Courthouse. And we were there from 2003 until 2010, always knowing we had bigger plans. We wanted a larger facility. But now if you drive by there, you'll see that they really did pave paradise for some of these kids and put up a parking lot. So it no longer exists. And I think the day we moved out, the ceiling was falling in, and there were a lot of reasons that was probably a good choice, but we had a lot of fun there. This is kind of fun. I thought I'd show you. The building we're in now, right next to the library, has a long history. And so in 1956, it was the Leggett Building. How many of you remember that? Yeah. I hear so many stories about people going to get their Sunday outfits and things. And then we took over the A&N store in 2005 is when we took ownership of the building. So it really does have a nice past. And the building was not in great shape when we took it over, so we basically had to start over. Wonderful shell, but lots of infrastructure fundraising to be done. That's what it looks like now. 3-story building. We opened there in November 2010, only on the first floor. We decided it'd be a great idea to have a capital campaign starting in 2008. And if you remember, that was not a very good idea, but we were too far gone at that point. So we said, we'll just keep going. And we moved a lot of things down the street and we made do with that. But over the course of time, we're moving on up. So I'll show you some more about that. All of our museum exhibits are community inspired. We really believe we're a microcosm of our community. So the Virginia Theater, kind of named after the theater that was part of Main Street. And then our television studio that was built for us by TV3. And even our super service center that looks a lot like Joe Bowman's Chevrolet dealership. We're really well positioned to educate the entire family because, as you all know, children don't just come on their own. They come with their grandparents, they come with their caregivers, they come with their teachers. And so we can really put a lot of content out there in a non-threatening and non-judgmental way. So teaching them how to properly, brush their teeth or pack a healthy lunch. Those are some areas we can just really handle easily. Whoops. We consider the 2017 to 2019 as our expansion years. You can see a lot of construction there on the 2nd and 3rd floor. We were finally able to move to the second floor 7 years after we first entered the building. And we did a lot of fundraising, started mapping out our master plan. And the cool thing about that is for about 10 or 7 years, the kids would come in, they'd see this placeholder of a big tree house and they wanted to get in it, but they couldn't get in it because we didn't have the infrastructure in place. So finally, we opened the tree house in 2017. We also put in a second early childhood area. And finally, the plane. And those of you who knew Carl Stoltzfus knew how wonderful he was. And he always talked to us about putting this aviation exhibit in. And so we were able to bring that in at that time as well. And then something unique that we offer is a Maker City Makerspace. It's a 1,250 square foot studio workshop where kids who are 8 and up can come and explore a variety of subjects. We talked to lots of kids. We knew when they got to be about 9 or 10, they were starting to age out of the museum, and they really just wanted a space where they could create. And I know you've had your kids in there before, right, Dave? And things that they can do in there, fiber arts, sewing machines are available. We've got laser cutters, 3D printers, woodworking, stop animation. And it's just really been a wonderful, wonderful space. And where's Dale? Dale Lamb is here. His wife, Wendy, just did a workshop for us, a drawing workshop with the kids on Saturday, and it looked like it went extremely well. So lots of guest artists, guest makers, and one of the partnerships that we have is with the Massanutten Technical Center. And their program leaders will bring the students in and teach us everything from taking apart and rebuilding a computer to restaurant careers, electricity, the whole thing. And then finally, we got to the third floor. The third floor is really meant to be a programming space, and it features this nice third floor teaching kitchen, which we absolutely love. We've had lots of classes in there and demos, and it's a wonderful multi-purpose space that we really needed for a long time. And this just shows what that third floor multi-purpose space looks like for an event. This was our night at the museum gala, but usually it's used during the day for kids and programming in a multitude of ways. Of course, we have lots of programs. One of the ones we like to do is a dissection series where we put scalpels in the hands of first graders. But that's a really smart idea. And our program director, Melanie, she always says, I can tell on day one, the butchers from the surgeons. And so that's really true. Lego robotics, we love to explore those things, lots of participation there. Something that we're doing this year, again, is TED Ed Club. This is a free program for middle schoolers, and it's just like the TED Talks that you see. They work with the JMU Debate Club. They take their big ideas and they share them and create your own TED video by the end and live presentation. So that's a wonderful program as well. Lots of special events and partnerships, from cartooning with John Rose, the Virginia Wildlife Center. And something we're hoping to bring back again this summer that we haven't done for a couple of years is our Farm to City Day, where we partner with the agricultural community. We bring tractors and combines and all kinds of animals downtown. We work with the 4-H center, and it's just a wonderful way for kids to understand where the food comes from and how that all connects to their everyday lives. Field trip programs, they haven't been as robust over the last couple of years, but 8,500 annual visitors through those programs. We tend to see people from about an hour away, from Charlottesville to Winchester, West Virginia, and in between. Lots of birthday parties have been celebrated at the museum, a great place for all ages. And one thing that's extremely important to us and always has been is that we're a museum for all. Our staff will never turn anybody away who's not prepared to pay when they come to the museum. So we work with a lot of other organizations and agencies to make sure we can have free admission events, that we can have partnerships. And one of the programs that I'm really proud of is that we participate in Museums for All. So if a family comes in and they have an EBT SNAP card, it's $2 admission for everybody in the family all year, anytime they want to come. So I would just tell you all, I know you're involved in lots of different initiatives. If there's ever a situation where you know there's somebody that wants to come and they can't because of a financial circumstance, let us know, because we want to make sure that that's happening. Our annual operating budget is about $600,000. And 40% of that comes through grants, donations, sponsorship. The other 60% will be operating revenues, and those will be things like admissions and donations, field trips and memberships. What I will say is during the pandemic, that's completely flipped. And now we're relying on much greater amount from donations and sponsorships, probably more like 60 to 70%. One way that we're able to extend our budget is because of big volunteer base. 300 volunteers give about 10,000 hours a year to help the museum and really supplement our staff. Some other ways that we're able to fundraise is through the Great Community Give, and I know that some of you have been involved in that. It's just such a gift, and especially has been over the last 2 years, and I know that many of you give to us and give to other organizations that you believe in, and that's coming up again on April 20th this year. Run the Runway is a new partnership that we have with the Shenandoah Valley Regional Airport. They close the runway and the kids run on it just like the big planes taking off. And we raise all the funds from that event to benefit our aviation exhibit. Night at the Museum is our grown-up event gala. The last couple of years we haven't been able to have it. I'll tell you more about that, but that's coming up this year in November. And I know we've had a lot of supporters. Gary Nichols, who's been a big supporter of Night at the Museum, thank you for that. And it's just a lot of fun. We get to play. So I use this picture because I think it's exactly the expression of March 2020. We somehow learned that there's a virus like you all did, but we're a hands-on children's museum and we had no idea how this was going to spread. So as you can imagine, we just looked at each other for a couple of weeks trying to figure out what on earth we're going to do at this point. So we realized all the things we couldn't do, but we quickly learned that there were some things we could do, that our community needed us and we had a mission to get out there. So what we first did was we started an Explore More at Home series. Our staff all got together. We came up with 36 different units, and we had all kinds of activities and videos that we made so that the kids could enjoy the museum experiences at home using a lot of things that they already had. So if they wanted to learn about birds, Miss Melanie would show them how to do a bird feeder at home, and then they could go about learning about all these other facts. And it's still on our website today, so if you're looking for something to entertain a grandchild or a child, you can go there and check that out. We took it a step further with discovery kits because parents were asking for even more resources. They're suddenly at home being the teachers and balancing their careers and trying to do all of those very, very difficult things. I always tell Brian, and I'm so glad we didn't have young children during this because it would be quite a feat to overcome. But these discovery kits were full of 5 or 6 materials and activities, and they could just pick them up curbside. So the parents would roll up, the kids would wave at us out the window, and we would put them in their car and they'd go home and do their activities. And then we realized we wanted to get these out to even more community members. So we were able to get some funding so that we could package these up, and we gave over 1,000 away to Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club, Second Home, Harrisonburg Rockingham Daycare Center. So it was wonderful to get them in the hands and help those providers who were working so very hard. Summer camps, that first season in 2020, we'd always done summer camps, but we weren't sure how we were going to do this. The kids hadn't even gotten out of their houses yet. They're still wearing masks. And so we thought about it, and we realized that the parents really needed us. Their kids needed high quality activities. So we did it. We got a tape measure out. We would measure 10-foot sections so they could take off their mask to eat a snack or have their lunch. We sanitized everything. I cannot tell you the work that our staff did to make this happen. And somehow, some way, we managed to get through there without any COVID cases and keep everybody safe and engaged. So it was really a big accomplishment. And the interesting thing was these kids, it was so strange to see them in masks, but they were so happy just to be out of their house and with other kids that they did not care about wearing a mask at all. And from that, we ended up starting this whole school, an Explorers Academy, because we formed such good, trusted relationships with all of these parents. Then they find out school's not going to start again and they're going to be virtual. So we ended up working with them and starting an Explorers Academy for 16 kids, where they came to our museum every single day at 8:30 and they were picked up at 4. We helped them with their school lessons, and then we did all kinds of enrichment activities. We thought it would be easy until we realized that all the kids had completely different schedules. So Miss Melanie, our program director, had 10 different alarms that would go off all day long. You're on now, you're off now. And then you see that little thing of sticks there. That is here at the Elks Lodge, which is cool because we don't have an outdoor space. We arranged to use this. So this became our playground. The grounds of this Elks Lodge area became our playground for the entire year. And as I said, we thought it would maybe be a 6 to 8 week program, and it turned out to be the whole year that we ran this school. And had we not had that third floor programming space, we couldn't have done it. So it was just all well timed. And I think this is really telling. This is sort of a self-portrait during COVID, that sidewalk chalk, and that's what the kids are drawing. So you can see it's really impacted them. From there, in October of 2020, we decided we better open up again and do what we've always done, have exhibits. And so to do that, we had to limit our numbers. We had to put up all these signs about social distancing. We had to wear masks. And we did manage to do it. And in fact, we would have 2-hour segments, and our staff would have to go in and take all the props. And if you've been in the museum, you know there's a lot of stuff. We would have to take them all out and disinfect them and put a completely different one in. And we did that 3 times a day for more than a year. I don't know. I need to give them a bonus or something, because it's just wrong. So 2019, so just for comparison, 81,500 visits, what we were seeing annually. Now it's more like 22,000, about a quarter of that. But we're starting to see more people coming back after vaccinations. That made a big difference. So we're encouraged. Some things that we did that I thought were pretty innovative. We found out that people didn't know how to wash their hands during the beginning of the pandemic, and that was all everybody talked about. So we thought we would put in a hand washing station, and now that's just a part of the procedure. Is when you come in, you wash your hands, because clean hands are ready for play. And of course, we masked up our little forest friends so that it would be more playful and fun for the children. During the pandemic, we also had to take some things virtual, like our Run the Runway, where parents would go out and run and then send us a picture. We had 2 Night at the Museum virtual events. And Andy Van Hook over there with the peel knows the pain and how much of a challenge it was. But really, we had so much support, and it really went well, and was able to highlight the museum and keep us afloat. Picture of some of those segments. During the pandemic, we were also able to continue working on our second floor master plan. Even though we moved in 2017 to the second floor, we didn't have all the exhibits in place, but we did have a plan. And so we were able to put in a couple more of those. Pet vet was an area that the animal hospital helped us with. Kids love animals, of course, and that's very popular. And then something I just want to highlight, and I know a lot of people in this room made this happen. I can't call out all the names because I'll leave somebody out, but Cash Flow was our idea of bringing together financial literacy education and a really cool, fun ball maze. We always wanted to teach about financial literacy, but we were quite honestly afraid it would be boring and nobody would go in there and they'd just sit there at this bank teller desk and that would be it. But when we thought about putting it together with this financial literacy ball maze, that seemed to make a lot more sense. So this is what it looks like now after the rendering. We opened that up in October 2021, a combination of a lot of people contributing from private donations to the Your Economic Success Group, to a lot of banks that came together. Even though they're all kind of trying to get their own market share, they understood how important this was and that they would come together in the name of children. And just to give you an idea, they're green balls, and the green balls are the kid currency. So they get those, and then they start out and they go to this ATM machine right here, and they can push a button. So they might be a pilot, or they might be an auto mechanic, or something that's represented in our museum. And then they can invest, and they can spend, and they can share, and they can save. And what they figure out after a while is there are all these tubes where the balls are rolling, and they end up over here in this central hopper. And then suddenly, when it hits enough balls, it gets a trigger and it goes ding, 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 and all the kids run underneath, and then they fall on their head. And that's what it looks like. So pretty fun. And this is just a really nice and interesting and fun-filled way for kids to start the conversation about financial literacy. But then we take it a step further around the perimeter, and there are lots of different stations that have content. And so they can explore currency from around the world. They can play a game where they save. They can learn about compound interest. We've taken, for investment, that was a hard concept for kids to understand. So we've kind of taken the track of squirrels and acorns and how you need to diversify, and you shouldn't put all your acorns in one place. And so we have a couple of different activities like that. Have a wonderful book collection that was made possible by JMU Center for Economic Education and the Yes Group. And of course, we're extending all of this with our field trip programs. We have several different offerings that focus on financial literacy. And we also are going to be offering a new camp this summer called Camp Millionaire. So we have 20 kids signed up. Hopefully they'll become millionaires someday, but just trying to teach them all about the importance of saving early and really being mindful of what they do with their money. How am I doing? Just a couple more things to finish up. The last thing that we have on our master plan is a construction zone exhibit. We've been talking about that for a long time with some of the area contractors, but we're going to finally put it in play. We're working on some plans right now. That'll require a fundraising initiative to get the money for that. But I think it's really important for kids to know how trades are so important and how they build our neighborhoods and our communities. So that's the next thing on our docket. And then finally, we're going to be launching a new event called Play Without Boundaries. And this is specifically a low sensory event for children who have special needs, families with children with autism. Sometimes the museum's just a little too stimulating, or they feel like that they can't let their kids kind of have a meltdown without feeling judged. And so this is just going to be a closed event for those families to sign up, totally free. And we hope that after this pilot event, we'll be able to offer it to more folks. We'll be working with JMU and some of their experts there to help create that environment. So that is it in a nutshell. So I hope you know everything you ever wanted to know about the museum. It's been a long journey, and a lot of you in this room have made that possible. And I always kind of liken us to the little engine that could, because we're always kind of slow and plodding along, and there are lots of steam engines riding right along, but we always have somebody push us up over the mountain, and we get there slowly but surely. Not always in the prettiest way. So, any questions? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, they're all independent, so it's not like a franchise type things, but there is a national association, the Association of Children's Museums, and they offer a reciprocal membership. So you can purchase a membership, and then you can go to any of the participating museums for half price. So we do network. The one thing that's been a silver lining in this pandemic, I would say, is that all the Virginia museums have formed a collective, and we have been sitting together on Zoom calls a lot, trying to figure out how in the world we're going to survive this. And before, you know, we might see it as a competitive thing, and it's not at all. We've all really learned from one another. Good question. Any other questions? I'm not sure who.
Mine's more just comment and just saying how wonderful our children's museum is, and I know your family has played a big part in that, because I've traveled to lots of places, had my grandchildren in lots of museums, and the big thing they always say when they come to visit, what day are we going to the children's museum? And they live in Charlotte and Raleigh, and they've been to big museums, and I think that just says a lot for not only the displays, but your wonderful staff. So I just want to give great kudos to you.
Thank you. We do have a wonderful staff. We're blessed for sure.
I guess I'll just keep the lauding continuing here. I just wanted to thank you, first of all, because at Mercy House, you've extended throughout the years the opportunity for our families to come to the museum. And I want you to know how difference-making that truly has been. I can think of a couple families in particular that prior to the pandemic were involved in some pretty significant domestic violence circumstances. The kids were really needing some normalcy in their life. And the fact that they could come to your place and feel safe and feel normal was a big thing. And cost would have been an issue for these families. And I just really appreciate that you've done that throughout. And it really does make a huge difference.
Well, thank you. I think that made my day. Thanks for saying that.
Mine's just a simple question. You mentioned grants. Who do you apply for grants to? Which organizations? How do you get your grants?
That's a good question. We don't do a lot of large grants because, quite honestly, we don't always have the staff to do like IMLS grants and things. But a lot of local grants, we'll apply to the community foundation, we'll apply to different civic organizations. So tend to get smaller grants, usually under $10,000, something like that. But we've tried larger ones, like for our Merck Science Center, we were able to get a $50,000 grant from Merck. So occasionally, when they fit, we can do bigger grants. Lots of connections, lots of community partners. We are very fortunate to have so much support. I don't know how we made it through this pandemic, to be honest, except for that.
Hey, Lisa, I just want to thank you again. I know a lot of people are thanking you for all the great work you've done. And specifically for us, I think the TED Ed has just been phenomenal. So for any of you guys who have kids or grandkids in that middle school age range, I mean, you got 10 weeks with the JMU debate team. They get up on stage, they present their ideas. It's really cool. So thank you for doing that.
Sure.
And also on the cash flow exhibit, I think is really cool is to see the balls that are coming down on the kids. It's neat that you're teaching the kids about government stimulus. So.
That's it. We'll have to add that. Good thought. That's funny.
I just wondered how Brian found you.
Well,
You have incredible heart input. Very rare. Thank you.
thank you for saying that. I actually met him in Front Royal, and we went to a hoedown. It was called a Mushroom Hoedown Festival, and we square danced together for the first time. We don't square dance. I don't even know. It's a big story. It's a big story. It'll take too long for today. Thank you.
Well, let's give Lisa a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa, for that wonderful presentation and for all you do for the children in our community. We really appreciate your service. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a great week.